Hello, and welcome to the Simply Business Interview Podcast, a podcast created by business owners for business owners. I am your host, John Jennings. I believe that most business owners are working way too hard for much too little. And one of our issues is that we overcomplexify things. I believe the answers are almost always within us or within our reach. I like to say that I'm a simple man with simple ideas. So welcome to Simply Business.
All right, it's great to have you here today, here with Tom Hootman, who's the founder of Mixtape Digital. I immediately love the name because I made many mixtapes back in the day, which tells me Tom and I are probably from roughly the same era. And I obviously want to find out more about what inspired him to call it that. But Tom, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Thanks for saying you knew what a mixtape was. You've immediately dated yourself, John.
Yes.
That's kind of the whole goal, is to make people feel old. I started Mixtape Digital recently, right? We just launched and formally announced our launch April 14th. It's a relatively new agency. I, however, come from 15 years spent in digital marketing. Prior to that, I was a restaurant retail manager and in outside sales. And I landed in digital marketing, worked for a couple of amazing companies, helped grow a company to a pretty good size, Hannafin Marketing. And then we were acquired by Brain Labs in February of 2020. Great timing. And I spent 5 years with Brain Labs, and an amazing company, wonderful people. But I always had this itch to do my own thing and I'd start my own agency, and literally had kind of thought of, this is as AI was starting to blow up, like the curation of AI, the art and the science, AI and the human element. And then in my car on my way to work, Mixtape Digital like kind of just popped into my brain.
Yeah.
And I immediately sped into work because I was like, I wonder if that URL is available. It was. It no longer is because it's mine. And to me, it was, when I made a lot of mixtapes. I used to work for Musicland, Sam Goody stores back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
We used to make mixtapes all the time for people, friends, girlfriends, people you wanted to date, people who you cared about. And each one was so uniquely crafted and curated, and we put so much care into them. And we used to cut out a picture from a magazine as the cover. Like, there was a lot of time and energy that went into these. And I thought there's a red thread there between the idea of this agency that is custom curated, authentic, real people, helping navigate some really interesting times in the industry, and the mixtape. So I also love that it's retro, right? Like, when you think of AI, digital media, the last thing that comes to mind is a cassette tape. And for me, I was like, that dichotomy spoke to me a bit. Like, it catches the eye, it catches the ear, because it's something that comes up that people are like, oh man, everyone has a story. Most people, I'd say over the age of 30, have a story like, oh my God, mixtapes. I have to tell some of the younger team members, it's like a playlist, but on a physical, and
Tell them to go watch Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It helped reintroduce it to a new generation.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you see the boombox, the mixtape boombox that was from our photo shoot and video shoot. You know how hard it is to find those things? It's very hard to find them. And then
I think I have a couple in the basement.
Well, you might want to sell them because they're worth money, and that one doesn't even play that well, right? So the night before our photo video shoot, I was in my office putting everything together to take it to the site, and I was just playing some old cassettes. And my wife came in and was like, "What do you do? What is that noise?" And I was like, "That is a cassette player," and that's how awful they sounded. You forget how tinny, and like the only thing going for them was that you could take them in your car. That was it. But long story short, Mixtape Digital, custom curation, unique approaches to individual clients facing modern challenges.
Yeah, cool. So you mentioned AI. So tell me about how AI is influencing your industry and how you're using it.
Well, AI, it's turned the industry upside down, right? I think that everyone in digital media has a little bit of like, is it really, it's not going to take our jobs. Is it going to take our jobs? It's going to take our jobs. What do you guys think? Right? Like, everyone is waiting to see what it looks like. If you think about when I started working with AI GPTs a couple years ago,
Mm-hmm.
they sucked. They still kind of suck, but they suck a whole lot less than they did a couple years ago. And they're moving so incredibly fast
Yeah.
that it's exciting to think about where it's going. I think about, in a lot of pitches, we talk about AI and how we leverage AI and how we can leverage AI. There's a ton of platforms out there that are kind of like swooping in to try to fill the market, that are trying to reach out to us every day to leverage AI, whether it's building, there's an amazing platform that will build a full media plan and a full marketing guide and even do a competitive analysis for any URL that I drop into it. We aren't at a stage yet where like it's not something we would use every day, but holy smokes, it's like that is, as I told the founder when he pitched it to me, I said, I've worked with teams of 8 to 10 audience and media planners, right? Audience intelligence, media planning people.
Yeah.
It doesn't replace all 8, but I think 4 to 6 of them could be worried, right? What it does is it streamlines companies' ability to make smarter decisions faster.
Yeah.
For me personally, I use it all the time, but it doesn't write anything for me, because you can tell an AI written post it's garbage. And you see a lot of people on LinkedIn who copy paste them, and you can see the M dashes that ChatGPT leaves in. It's like, come on. But it's where it's helped someone like me the most. I suck at starting things. That's a whole other story about Mixtape. But yeah, like it took me forever to even start Mixtape. But if I have to write a pitch or I have to put a deck together, I will stare at a blank canvas for 80% of the time. But once I start, I'm hyper obsessed with it and it comes quick.
Yeah.
What GPT or what AI has done for me is it allows me to skip to that step immediately.
Yeah.
It allows my obsession, my compulsion with getting started to start much, much sooner, which has just allowed me to be faster to market and faster to be able to deliver things to our team or to clients than ever before. It's a procrastination exterminator in my
That's a good way of putting it.
which is what I love about it.
Yeah.
In terms of our industry, I do think that it's overlaps all channels, but where we've seen it, in my opinion, hit first was SEO. Like everyone talks about, is SEO dead? Is the traditional SEO model of organic search management gone? And I disagree, it's not. But what it's done is it's just changed the way we think about SEO, and it changed SEO first because of the way SEO works, the content engine, like there's the piece of organic site changes to help boost your rankings, to the point now where I think SparkToro made it famous. Like they started referring to it as, it's not search engine optimization, it's search everywhere optimization. So when we go to market, we go to pitches, you can't just go in with a keyword-based, content-based strategy because it's antiquated. What you have to do is you have to look at an overarching theme of where internet searchers are landing and where people are going for information today that's most relevant to them, to be able to get your clients to the place where if someone's searching for something on GPT, how are we getting there? And how are we showing up in the various ways people are searching? Because gone are the days when someone was like, just went to Google. It doesn't happen anymore, right?
Yeah.
If I have a question, I go straight to GPT, because I as a marketer, I'm not going to have all the stuff. It's just going to give me the info. And even Google with Gemini will give you the Gemini answer first now.
Yeah.
So I think that's where we're going.
Yeah. And so it's funny, you're using GPT to help you or your client be found easier on GPT.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you have to be in the tools every day. If there was someone in our industry who wasn't using some type of AI to do their job every day, in all honesty, it'd be a red flag of like, you can't like, you have your fingers in your ears, right? Like it's not happening. It's not happening. You have to embrace it to learn how to leverage it for your clients.
I speak on the topic every now and then, probably a couple times a year. Someone will have me come in and speak on AI, and it's interesting. Or probably been doing that for the last 3 years. And the first times I would walk in, I'd say, "How many of you are using AI and just in your regular job?" And 3 years ago, like 1 out of 10 kids at most might go up, maybe 1 out of 20, and now it's more like 3 out of 4 go up. Most people do, but I always tell everybody it's really, you're all using it. You just don't realize it.
You don't realize it.
You're Googling and you're seeing a Gemini response and you're interacting with that. You don't even realize that's an AI tool.
Yep. And it's a great point. And I think it comes I mean, I have friends who don't work online, right? So my best friend is a driver for UPS.
Mhm.
Probably never intentionally has used ChatGPT, or maybe he messes around with it a bit, but he doesn't use it every day. But ChatGPT, I'm certain AI is helping UPS at a much
Oh
higher level
gosh, yeah,
manage everything from how they market themselves to how routes are planned to
yeah,
efficiencies within the organization.
yeah. Well, they've because they've always been masters of efficiency. They've used AI to break that down
Yeah.
even more.
Well, the whole
Uh,
thing where they said it's true, like no left turns or as few left turns as
yeah,
possible, right?
right. Yeah. Which we've known that for years. I remember when I was in the utility business, IT with utility business, we tried to create a routing software that would do that, and in the '90s, it was just about impossible. But it's real today, and it's
Very
probably
real.
yeah, it's probably very common today in almost every kind of routing tool. Yeah, and I love how the AI tools now I mean, you can just give it tons of information. And I use Notebook. What's it called? Notebook. Oh, just lost the. It's got two letters after it. It's one of Google's products.
Mm-hmm.
I use it and I use ChatGPT a lot, but just the ability to just upload tons of documents and say, help me synthesize this and bring it down into a 10 slide outline, and then like I don't let it create my PowerPoints or the I get that outline and then I bring up PowerPoint like I always have and generate and create from there. But it
Yeah.
does save so much work.
Saves a ton of work. And it's for me, like one of the big changes was I think was Chat GPT 4. I think it was 3 or 4, where it now can reference your full chat history
Yeah. Yeah.
at any given moment, which is, I mean, it's
Yeah. You don't have to
so
re-educate it
much
every
easier.
chat. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
and it had a limit of how much it could understand. Yeah.
It's come a long way.
It really has. It's amazing. So you launched your business really just, we're sitting here 3 months ago. I mean, almost 3 months to the day. And one of the things that impressed me when we met was how you just, you hit the ground and were off the ground. I mean, your runway was incredibly short, and that's partly because you had probably years of experience and contacts and everything else. But um, tell us about what you were kind of expecting and how it ended up playing out.
Yeah, that's a great question. So the running joke I make is that I thought for the first year we'd be pitching marketing services to bowling alleys and hair salons in Iowa, right? Like that we were in the business of yes, and we're still in the business of yes.
Sure.
And a lot of the business of yes comes from I'm embracing and I'm excited that there's no one standing over my shoulder. Not that anyone ever stood over my shoulder, but like I have a lot of respect for authority, so I would always like check with my boss. Hey, what do you think? And not having that became really comfortable to me pretty quickly. Like, we
Mm.
want to do something weird, let's do something weird. And the first year, I went in and I mapped out like what my target monthly growth would be in terms of monthly recurring revenue, new monthly recurring revenue every month. And then a funny thing happened. I started establishing some referral partners from within my network, other agencies, and they've been remarkable, wonderful partners. And then also just individuals within my network started to come to me with referrals. I have a former client who sent me 2 clients already, right? And things got serious pretty quick, because not only are they bringing them to me quickly, but it's and it doesn't last forever, right? So we're working on what lead gen outbound, getting our names
Yeah.
out there looks like. But when they're coming from my network, I think part of the reason why people trust me is because I always pride myself on trying to always do what we say we're going to do and being communicative with clients. So
Mhm.
when someone would send someone to me, I take it extra serious, right? Like, I don't want to screw this up, because it's like it's my personal relationship with this other former
Sure.
client on the line.
Yeah.
But so right out of the gates, they just started sending us people. And I used to work in new biz for a smaller agency for 8 years, 9 years, before I moved
Mhm.
into a client success role at Brain Labs. And that was the part I hadn't done any client discovery selling in 6 years. So I thought I was going to be really rusty. You get really unrusty pretty quick when you have to jump into a bunch of different conversations.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the client sizes were, I mean, we'll work really with anybody within like that mid-market, smaller enterprise area, but they were
Mm-hmm.
all right in there to begin with, right? We've only had a couple conversations with folks with very limited budgets, and signed a couple of them. They're good clients, but things moved so quickly that we're already 7x, 8x that first year target I had. So I had to blow it up, right? Because
Yeah.
like it was a month and a half in, we're already blowing past the yearly goal. You just kind of got to write a new yearly goal, I guess,
Yeah.
which is what we've done, right? Like let's screw it. Let's come up with a new goal and just kind of figure it out from here.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's rare, very rare that I talk to a founder that goes, wow,
Knock on
first
wood.
3 months have completely gone far. Well, actually, I'll hear people say, yeah, I got some initial wins out of the gate, but usually they drop off. I mean, and usually it's real fast. It's like the first month and then crickets, and we call that the honeymoon trap. You
Yep.
think you,
Oh, I
you
got this figured out.
you
Yeah.
got this
It's gonna be
figured
easy.
out.
Yeah.
Man, it's going to be so easy. I mean, I had 3 clients in my first month, and I'm like, man, it's going to be a piece of cake. It was like 5 months before I got my fourth client, and
Mhm.
and so it's not as easy as as you think, and it always takes longer to build, except for in your case,
Except
you seem to have broken
lightning
that
in a
mold.
bottle. Lightning in a
Yeah,
bottle, John. Yeah. I'm fortunate because, and I'm very grateful. Keep sending me referrals, friends and neighbors. I'm very fortunate in that there's been enough growth that, I started with a team of 1099 freelancers working very fractional hours, and I still have that much larger team now. But the growth has been so fantastic that I've been able to hire full timers, right? So
yeah,
we've created the foundation for the agency and locked in full-time employees at a much earlier stage than I thought. And I'm proud of that because there's also an element of like it's a shitty time in our business, right? A lot of people are losing their jobs. Agencies are scaling back from the COVID boom years.
yeah,
And there are some wonderful people out there who are looking for jobs. And I've been very fortunate to be able to bring actually a handful of them on and really build a team of A players right out of the gates,
yeah,
right? And Mike, I was going to joke a second ago, like the growth's been fantastic. I still am not making a dime, but also that's by design.
yeah,
And I'll tell anyone that listens, right? Like I can sit in this room for a very long time, um, and we'll be fine. I want to put 100% of the revenue back into the business. I mean, I'm in this not to make a bunch of money as soon as possible, but I'm here to make a team happen. And because I'm great at running agencies, I'm proud of how I run agencies. I want to run an agency. I don't want to be I think that trap that a lot of founders get into when they're subject matter experts first is that
mhm,
the freelancer trap where like you can never quite scale it beyond you having hands on keyboard because I can't do the work. I have to be able to have a team that's happy to do the work and excited to be here from day one. And I'm very fortunate to have that.
yeah. So you initially, if correct me if I'm wrong, you didn't initially think you'd be hiring a bunch of people. You thought you'd be subcontracting out, probably for that first year.
Yep. I had to
And
figure out, I mean, how does payroll work? How do payroll taxes work? How do benefits work? Like I was 3 weeks into it and looking over insurance plans. Like, I don't know, right? Like I was on the insurance committee, but like once the plans were like brought to us, like I didn't see any of how the sausage was made there. So I've had some wonderful partners. We have a PEO firm who manages all of that, who I was introduced to through a peer group that I'm in. And then one of the biggest benefits I've had is honestly, I mean, I used to have a team of like 110 people and I had like an HR arm that was attached to me. I
right,
had, there's marketing, there's commercials or contracts. There was always a team of experts that I could tap on the shoulder. I thought it was going to just be me, and very quickly realized it couldn't just be me because I
yeah,
I don't I don't have the bandwidth to write a job description, review all the resumes, set up all the interviews.
Sure.
But because I'd worked in a larger org and so many people had moved in and out of the org, I had people within my network who could refer me to people, or people who'd been away from Brain Labs long enough that they wanted to come over and help on a fractional basis. So I have some amazing fractional HR, fractional marketing, and fractional finance help. And for the most part, they're people who want to evolve into ideally full-time roles someday.
Yeah. Cool. So, you said you're not the hands-on guy. You're not the guy on the keyboard. You're not necessarily the subject matter expert. You're used to running an agency more so than being the person writing the
if I'm managing your Google ads, you're in trouble. Yeah.
So but you come across completely knowledgeable of every aspect of this. So how do you stay current with technology while you're not in the technology?
I think a big component of that I struggled with for a very long time. One of the reasons why I didn't start Mixtape for a very long time is because I come from outside the industry. I mean, I used to not take sales calls at my desk at Hannafin because I didn't want to sound like an idiot, because I didn't know what I was talking about. And we were literally sitting at little pods with 3 people doing the account work in a quiet room. And I just, all I could hear was myself talking. And like, that's not, I don't know the acronym to use here. Right. And what I eventually got over was that you realize I had a great CEO. We were preparing for a pitch for a big cross sell. We had a smaller client who was looking at adding a bunch of other services for us. And as we were going through the pitch rehearsal process, I was horrible. I was just awful. And it's because in this modern era where everyone's remote, I had my notes in front of me. And I'm much better when I can just kind of be myself and say whatever I want. And he actually stopped the pitch rehearsal because I was biffing it so hard. And he's like, hey, let me hold on to you for a few minutes after. And he was like, what are you doing, man? Like, you're not a marketer. I remember this. He's like, you're not a marketer. And then he said about himself, I'm not a marketer. Your superpower is client relationships. Your expectations you're putting on yourself to sound like a marketer, to sound like all of them, is unfair to you. And that's not who they want you to be, neither the team nor the client. Just be yourself. And that is the authenticity that kind of like something clicked in me from that moment of like, I'm like, he's right. My superpower is engaging with people and solving problems at a simple level of like, okay, here's a problem. Here's how we can solve it. Hand it to the experts. Is that solve work and why not? Okay, what if we did this or that or this? So for me, my subject matter expertise comes from years of, I joke around, years of bumping into walls and saying or doing the wrong thing and then figuring out, okay, there's a wall there. Don't bump into that again. You do that for 15 years, you start to get more comfortable. You know when to hedge, you know when to dive in a bit. You know, there's channels or environments when we talk to prospects I'm more comfortable in. And then there are channels that I don't touch with a 10-foot pole because I don't know as much about. But you have to have that level of EQ, I think, to like know when to step out on the plank a little bit and know when to back away, and humility to be like, hey, I'm not the subject matter expert, but I've got a team of amazing subject matter experts.
Yeah, and you hit on it's a mindset, it's a humility, EQ. I mean, you mentioned some great all that packaged together makes you a person who's willing to kind of go. You're willing to go so far, but recognize that, hey, I can only go so far. I've got to have that person with me.
I spent many years. I was kind of the office curmudgeon. And
I can't see you that way.
I was, and it's still in there. It still comes out. But I was you've heard the phrase "too cool for school." I was just too cool for school, right? So everything was steeped in this deep fear of embarrassment and sounding like I didn't know what I was talking about. So it forced me, like I built this harder exterior that kind of like repelled people so that I wouldn't put myself at risk. And then you start to realize you're just kind of being a dick for the sake of self-protection. And nobody here has everything figured out. And then that didn't really truly get unlocked for me until I realized that piece about the client relationships, because that's something that we take subject matter experts in this business and we promote them to a point where they're team leaders and they're client relationship leaders, and they don't know what they're doing. And that's an arena I know what I'm doing. So that's where I fill the gap and can help them, just as they can help me when it comes to platform expertise and tactics in Meta. So
Yeah.
there's a mutual trade-off there of recognition of your strengths in this business don't have to be subject matter expertise.
Mm. Yeah. There's a level of general knowledge and confidence mixed with humility that can take you a long way, especially as the leader of the team.
Yeah, definitely.
If you're humble enough to bring in those people that will fill the gaps.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, you have to be able to, humble is the word, right? You have to be humble enough to find the team that fills the gaps. And I think a lot of people, if I'd started this 10 years ago, I would have been so concerned with making the decision and being direct and being right. And that's not how it is now. I mean, it's to reach out to a payroll firm and be like, I don't know how payroll works. Or to reach out to my finance administrator. She's amazing. Be like, I don't know how taxes work. What is like, help me figure this out.
Just keep me out of
keep me out of jail.
Keep me out of jail.
And there's an element of if there's one regret I have, it's like, God, I wish I'd never had this. I wish I could have gotten through this sooner. But you have to realize there's plenty of time left to not care what people think about you. And also, it's I get the most compliments through LinkedIn and through email from people who watch the videos on LinkedIn or my posts on LinkedIn, because they're very much like, here's what we're going through. Here's something great. Here's something I'm thinking about. And it resonates with people because I was like, man, I wish I would have done this years ago, because those are the truly like fulfilling interactions of, someone who I worked with for a very long time, reached out to me and just sent me a message on LinkedIn yesterday or 2 days ago and said, hey, I just want you to know, like, I'm loving the journey. And I'm loving getting to watch and like follow along. Yeah. And to me, that's amazing. Like, that's fun. That makes it literally made my day.
Yeah. So we're 3 months in, you're 6-7x where your annual goal was. So you like blow out and like, okay, new goals, new, restart in a good way. I mean, honestly, most startups, it's the other way around. It's like, we're at like 1/10 of our goals.
It happens. Yeah.
Yeah, that happens a lot. What's next for you? What's on the horizon for the next 6 to 12 months, since things are happening so fast?
I mentioned it. I briefly touched on it earlier. Like, I am well aware that the honeymoon period exists and goes away just like that. And I also know that if an agency is built on the relationships of the founder never gets out of the day-to-day grind, right? And I want to run an agency. I don't want to be the client manager for 50, 100, 150 clients. Right. So near and dear to my heart, and something at the forefront, is what does the new biz team look like? Mm-hmm. And what does outbound, what type of relationships do we want to generate to come back to us as clients? Yeah. Being cognizant that we don't want to turn into I was in sales and I'm not a cold caller. Like, we don't. Yeah. I'm a firm believer that if someone answers the phone to talk to you and hires you, they just like answering the phone, and they're going to answer the phone to the next person, and they're going to leave you for someone who's cheaper. So, and that's fine. But for me, it's like, okay, like, what's the engine look like, and what seats do I need, and who needs to be in those seats to really drive the agency forward? Yeah. And continue to grow it in a way that's manageable, where we have enough buckets, right? Remember Bozo, the grand prize game? I'm dating myself even more, like the 8 buckets that the kids threw the ping pong balls in. If there's someone on the new biz team and the pipeline is dry, they've got 8 buckets or 6 buckets they can go and pull leads out of, like whether it's lost opportunities from last year to follow up with, or whether it's leads from a conference, or whether it's contact forms who ghosted us, or whether it's referral engines or consultants. Like, they can go through each of those buckets and fill the funnel or fill the pipeline back up. Like, those are the type of things, the processes and systems that are like at the front of my mind. Yeah. It's also the greatest form of, I mentioned it, I send a newsletter. It's called the Mixtape Musings out to my team every Friday. And it's the hits and the B-sides. And the hits is like, here's the good stuff that's happening. And the B-sides is the stuff we're learning the hard way. Yeah. And one of the things I'm learning the hard way is how to control, like, my anxiety about Like it's great to have this growth, but then you get to this next inflection point and it's really easy to be frustrated because I know in my head what that team looks like and I've got a full-time team, but I mean, if I just had 3 more clients, I could start building that team. That can lead you down a path of just wanting to add revenue and squeeze margin. And that is not my intention, because I think that's how you create a fast growing agency that people hate working with and people hate working at.
Yeah. Yeah. I've taken clients that were in growth mode and had them say picture a year out, and you've hit your numbers. What's your team have to look like? And what are those gaps? And then who on your team can fill those gaps? And then, what does that mean you're going to need? It's a scary and healthy exercise.
People quit, people get new opportunities, people come and people go. I was fortunate when I worked at Hannafin that we had really, really high employee retention. And at the same time, we didn't pay the most in the industry, but there was the right work-life harmony, I'll call it, not balance, harmony, because you work really hard. There's a lot of long hours, but there was the right culture, the right work-life harmony helped create this place people just didn't want to leave. And if another offer came in that was more money, you look out if you go to Glassdoor and look at other agencies, it's like a running joke with me that every agency has a three-star rating, because like everyone complains about the same things.
Right.
I think a lot of those agencies are really EBITDA margin growth focused to a fault. Like I want to grow. I want to be a $20 million agency someday. I want to be a $10 million agency, but I don't want to. I don't want to get there at the sake of my sanity and the sanity of my team and a revolving door of people who trash me on Glassdoor and just aren't happy or feel like they can't come to me with concerns or questions. So there's an element of, for me, I see that trajectory of where we're going and what the future looks like. It is not just maintaining our current growth, exceeding that growth through multiple sources so that we aren't dependent on 1 or 2 or 5 internal relationships or referrals only. And then being able to get to a point where I can start to unlock some of the cool shit in my head I want to do for my team, for clients. I'd love to pull the team all together, right, at some point and fly everyone in. I'm in Bloomington, Indiana, and I would love to bring everyone here or meet up in New York or meet up somewhere warm in the winter, right? And not just do a retreat, but just to come together as a team. One of my goals on the vision board, I don't really have one, but it's here. And this is weird. I want to have an office. I want to have at least one office. And there's an office I'd love to have in Bloomington. That's a goal because we may not have many people in it, but it's the mothership. It's a home base. When we bring people in and get people face to face, maybe once a quarter for a couple days, to be able to do that, I think fosters a stronger culture in the org, and so many more ideas get traded left and right.
Yeah.
At the same time, you can't just mandate everyone go into an office because I think that's a great way to lose wonderful people.
We're in a different era now from that standpoint.
Yeah. And this industry was already somewhat there. Like we were over 50% remote at Hannafin.
Wow. So you mentioned work-life harmony, which I use work-life alignment is what I call it.
That's good. I like that. Yeah.
I don't call it balance, but aligned with your value, your personal values and what's important. So how are you for yourself? Because it starts at the top. If you're not doing it, your people won't do it. So how are you doing it for yourself?
Well, I'm lazy, right? So I say that I'm not, but like, I don't want to work 20 hours a day forever. There are a few stop gaps I've put in place or that have already been in place that help me level set. The first and foremost is my wife. This is kind of weird for her. She's above me right now. She works full-time remote. She has for, goodness, maybe 7-8 years. So, I mean, I'm crashing her space, right? Like it's the two of us all day here. She has a job where she works long hours, but by 5:30 or so, she could step away for a bit. And we like to work out. We like to take long walks together. We have 2 dogs, 2 Cavalier King Charles Spaniels, Orson and Olive. And I joke because she's not like this, but I always joke because the door's right there and I'm right next to like the main living space, that like at 4:30, 5 o'clock, she's over there tapping her toe, like in her workout clothes, like Are we doing this or what? Right. So like having that moment where you're like, I got to go now and like take a long walk, go on a 4.5 mile walk with my wife or go to the gym for a couple hours. It helps me detach from the day. And I am definitely not the most productive person through the day. So everyone works in different ways. Um, I'm like a refrigerator hum. I'm not all in all the time, totally focused, but I'm kind of always on. So
Yeah.
I enjoy being able to step away, maybe start an hour earlier. So I went to the gym this morning, and then by then it was 6:45 this morning, and I was like, I'm gonna piddle around on the internet for a while. So I really didn't get up and running with my day till 7:30, and then being able to step away and go to the gym at 4:30. I know that I'm gonna get back online after dinner, have maybe have open a beer, sit down, and catch up on the day, and that doesn't bother me. That's just kind
Yeah.
of like how I enjoy working.
Yeah.
And then the second piece that I honestly never thought I would say this, because I was never that guy. I hired a personal trainer, a
Hmm.
virtual personal trainer, just over a year ago. And I decided I was always a solo lifter and I always worked out on my own, but I wanted more direction behind it. And
Yeah.
I had lost some weight, and you know, I had to come through a turning point in my life. My mother passed away, and that was kind of behind me. And it was like, okay, like I've
Yeah.
been running ragged, not living the best life, eating like garbage, not working out. So I
Mm.
found Dean. He's amazing. I actually interviewed him for my podcast last week, and he works full remote with me. He checks in twice a week. But he manages my macros. Every day I weigh in and put my steps from the previous day and all my calories, my protein, my
Yeah.
fat. And then he monitors my lifts in a separate spreadsheet. And I knowing that twice a week check-in is there, like he gives me grief, right? Like
Yeah.
he was beating me up a bit this week. And he was like, hey, like steps up, calories, your weekends are getting a little out of hand. Like having that that you got to pay someone sometime and hold you accountable,
Right.
it forces me, because there are many days where I don't feel like doing it, or
Yeah.
I have something that I feel like I should be working on at work that I don't have to. It's not critical.
Yeah. Cool. So this has been great, and as always, as I
Thank
expected,
you.
time has
Time
flown
flies.
by.
Yeah.
I always like to ask this question in some format with my guests. What advice would you have for that aspiring entrepreneurs? Maybe that person like you who has been thinking about their own version of Mixtape Digital and kind of kept putting it off, putting it off. I was in the same thing. I put it off for several years till I finally took the plunge. What advice would you give for them looking at starting their journey, uh, pulling that plug and moving forward?
I won't, I'll just tell them what to do. I won't give them advice because I think there's a lot of people with advice.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna steal what my coach told me to do, because she tried to talk me into embracing everything we talked about today for a while. And when I first wanted to do it and became more of like less aspirational dream and more like, hey, let's like look into what this looks like. She said, okay, here's what I want you to do. She said, start at the furthest reaches of your network and just go through your LinkedIn. You can download your LinkedIn contacts into a Excel sheet and start going through, and you'll find we've all got thousands of contacts. Find those people who you trust, who would give you good advice, who maybe understand your industry, who you don't work with every day, and just ask for 45 minutes with them, half hour, and ask them for advice on what you're considering doing, and have that first conversation. And she said, start with one person a month or a week or something. And I came back to her a month or two later, and I was blown away by how supportive everyone was.
Mhm.
And she said, she was kind of like, hey, of course they're supportive. You've been in a position of relative safety and psychological safety for many years, and you've always been helpful for people. They want to repay the favor. And each one of those conversations gave me great feedback, also gave me this like the strength and the confidence to be able to do it. And then over time, you started to realize like the only person standing in my way was me.
Yeah.
And just so finding those people in your peer group and asking for help and input and advice. A lot of people are going to tell you exactly what you want to hear, but if you have a high EQ, you can kind of tell like when someone's like, no, that's a great idea. No, like you can kind of pick up, like some people won't be straightforward with feedback, but there's a lot of people who will give you really great feedback on it.
I did something similar with several people, and whenever I talked to somebody who was from my corporate IT past, they looked at me like I was a nut. They're like,
I got a couple of those. Yeah.
why would you do that? Why would you leave a paycheck? Oh,
Yeah.
And one of my friends who was kind of going through a similar journey at the time said, and I think that's paraphrased from somebody else, but he's like, John, never ask for directions from someone who hadn't been where you're going. And I thought that's pretty good.
There's a lot of haters out there who will tell you
Yeah.
you shouldn't do it because they're scared to do it. So yeah.
Exactly. So if folks want to connect with you, want to learn more about Mixtape Digital, maybe there's some people out there who have a referral for you since you're
I mean,
business off that. What platforms are you on? What's the easiest way of getting a hold of you?
I would say, for us, mixtapedigital.com is the site. You can find us on LinkedIn, probably the best place to find Mixtape Digital. My name is Tom Hootman. You can find me. You're probably already getting some shit from me in your feed because I'm everywhere lately. Send a connection request, reach out. Even if you're not looking now, or you're just curious or want advice. I mean, I'm taking any and all meetings. That's the job now, right? Yeah. Is just to meet new people and have conversations. That's how you and I met. Yeah. Right? To be able to get in front of people. So I'm always happy to help. Will do my best to give really frank and honest feedback. And we're excited. I mean, we're growing like crazy. I have the deep bench, people ready to come on as fractional, on as full-time, fractional people looking for full-time. I mentioned it earlier. Where I get ahead of myself is I'm just so excited to get more people in full-time and get this thing growing. So if anyone's interested at all, welcome the phone call.
Yeah, great. Tom, it's been a pleasure. I have enjoyed the conversation. Wish you nothing but the best. And
thank you.
Look forward to seeing how this story plays out.
Thanks, John. It was great to meet you. Thanks for making time.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you liked it, please share or like it on whatever platform you use. You can find me on social media. On most platforms, I'm John K. Jennings. My first book is also available. Your Baby is Ugly tells you about 10 truths that business owners need to hear, but often won't, and how to overcome them. You can find it on Amazon. Just search for Your Baby is Ugly. And be watching for our next episode, where I'll interview another business owner who will share their stories and insights into what it's like to create a great business.